Okay, if let's see if this is working. Oh, we got a thumbs up. Okay. Oh, good. Kelly, does it sound like decent? We're gonna make this work, dang it. Okay, good. I'll give people a chance to hop back on. Okay. If there's a way to put, you think there's a way to put in the other live stream that we're on this new live stream, like a link to this one? I couldn't get it like restarted on the same one, which kind of is a bummer. To lose the connections. Thanks, Kelly. I also don't have any music I can play for people on this one. Oh, we have people. Okay. Edwin, hello. What's up, mineral peeps? All right. So you weren't here for the prior live stream. My main computer is waiting on a new coolant thing. Yeah, the little fan thing is going kaput. So I'm having to go off of my laptop today. And I thought it would hold together for the live stream, but that was my risk I took. Thanks, Kelly. Yeah, I have the part. It's ordered. It should be delivered today via Amazon. I tried for like 3 or 4 hours yesterday to do new thermal paste and all the things that you're supposed to do to try to cool down computers, but apparently that didn't work. There's also another thing it could have been is this weekend I had a 9-year-old's birthday party at my house. And one of the little friends knows that I have like all this stuff here in my office. And okay, good. You can hear me fine. Yeah, one of the little friends knows that I have all this stuff, and I have a little soundboard in front of me where it has like colorful buttons you can press, and it plays the songs and stuff. And they love that soundboard. And so Sydney came and got me as soon as the one friend came in here and started messing with things. But I told her, I was like, no, because last time it took me an hour to figure out what happened. So it could be that. It could be that. Really, it could be either one. But we're going to have a real laid back, chill office hours today. I actually wasn't planning on doing a whole lot on the computer anyway because of the whole graphics card issue. So, and actually, it's not the graphics card because of the thermal issue. Like I have the temperatures in front of me on the desktop and it's running at like 99 degrees Celsius. Like, that's not good. So it's probably best that we're not live streaming on that one today. But yeah, so we have a couple people coming over. Great. Thank you for your patience again today. I was all set to have this be like a flawless one, because after last week's like practice run of me not hitting the live button, I promise I did hit the live button today. I'm just going to call it gremlins in the live stream technology. Okay. So one thing I did think of so of course, as always, if you have any questions, if you would like to, use this opportunity for me to look at something or chit chat over your minerals, happy to always, review anything you have live. We can chat through it. I can look on my email. I do have access to my email. I just can't share the screen like I normally do. So happy to answer any questions, happy to talk about any events or just, my opinion on things. Always happy to give my opinion, even though it might not be, it's worth what you pay for it, right? Which, I have to at least, I do get paid for stuff, but today it's free. If you've not met me before, hi, my name is Tracy Lenz. Hi, Fred. We are a slightly different arrangement today because my computer's on the fritz. So you're actually not late. You're right on time for like when we're actually starting things. Hello, everybody. If you're first time joining, I'm Tracy Lenz. I'm a petroleum engineer. I'm the owner of Country Oil and Gas. We have an appraisal platform, and we do valuations and anything related to value, including using it to prioritize the most important things to look at, because it's like a deep, dark rabbit hole when it comes to oil and gas. So we try to help you figure out what's the most important thing to look at. And then also try to help you interpret what the heck you're looking at, because that's also a thing. So, Fred, we have a couple things. A couple announcements I was planning on getting to. Wasn't planning on doing any big TED Talks on anything today. Thank you for the thumbs up. That is helpful. Partly for my confidence at this point, right? Because of everything, all the technology. Yeah, we have a couple announcements. I have a quiz that I'd gotten partly ready. I was wanting to try to show, but we can talk about it. Okay, Martha, this time I am pretty sure people can hear me. But if not, please do let me know. Gold miner, you made it over too. Okay, loud and clear. Okay, whew. Martha's trying to mess with my mind at this point. Hi, Martha. I'm glad you made it over too. And there's a certain point, and I can't help but the hearing being on a certain point. A wine tasting class sounds pretty good right now. Alice found me by accident. YouTube knows that you want to watch me. It's like, oh, Tracy's doing anything. Alice must want to watch it. It knows. So in terms of announcements, we have a webinar happening next week. Based on all of this fun I've been having with technology, I really am good at technology, I promise. Based on the fun I've been having lately, though, it will be a pre-recorded webinar, and then we'll hop into a live stream Q&A directly after. I guess webinars are supposed to be live. It'll be a little premiere. I think YouTube calls them premieres. We're going to do a demo, like a formal demo. We've done a demo a couple times, like informally on the live stream here. We're going to do a formal demo of our portfolio next week at 11:30. So 30 minutes before the live stream. There's going to be a demo premiere that will come out. And we'll also go over a couple of our specials that we're going to be running all through December as part of our 12 days of Christmas. So don't miss that one. Make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure that you're alerted of that, because we're going to have a couple promotions where you get free stuff regardless of if you sign up for anything, just by attending. And then also we have a promotion on our portfolio and possibly even services. I don't know. I have to look into what exactly we end up offering for the last bit of the year. We're going to be offering things last bit of December. So make sure you join us next week for the demo and portfolio. We have some really cool things in the works for portfolio. It's really fun when we have an idea and it could be any of us on the team has an idea of what we want to add to portfolio. And it's like, I think let's run with that, see what you can do. And so the last bit, Jason has been, Jason's our CTO and our lead developer. And he had an idea for something he might be able to include. And I won't go into too much detail to spoil the fun, but it's really putting to use all the data that we're creating and also the data that we have access to and making it extremely usable and digestible. So that will be probably rolling out the first quarter, I'm guessing, just based on how far along it is already. But that's part of why we want to show off all the new stuff we've been doing with portfolio. So hi, Mary. Mary found me. Thank you. I'm glad you found us. We now have the regulars of class are now in all attendance. So yes, Tuesday next week, right before the live stream webinar at 11:30, then we'll roll right into a live stream. So regular live stream Q&A. I will get things working between now and then, and I might have some test lives over the weekend just to make sure things are working. Okay, good. It wasn't. I got a text message and I thought that was someone telling me that it wasn't working again. So that was the. Let's see. Any other announcements? I don't think there's other announcements. I did see a comment on the last live stream on if anyone heard a man talking about lava. I was going to show a video of the Kilauea. There's a camera watching Kilauea, and it's on its 38th eruption for this current cycle. And the lava, there must have been some shift in the lava, and it went from just erupting normally to all of a sudden there was some collapse or something that caused it to jet, and the jetting sent it all the way across the crater and just took out one of the cameras. And I thought anything geologic was related to an oil and gas live stream, so I thought that would be fun to show. Gold miner question is non-executive mineral interest leased for 3 years, renewed for another 3 years, expires in early 2027. Getting bonus money, getting calls from companies wanting to buy the mineral rights. Okay, I imagine that's the setup for the question. So I'll keep that locked in. In the meantime, Fred asks, since your mom joins in with us all the time, was she involved in the oil and gas industry? Or how did you get interested in oil and gas? No. So my whole family is more in the tech industry. So grew up in Austin, IBMer parent. My dad was the IBMer, and my mom was the faithful supporter of all the things. So she's just always involved in all the things we do. And then, so my dad passed away in 2021. And since then, we've been involved them as much as possible before. And now My mom is involved, as much as she would like to. But no oil and gas experience on my mom's side. But she understands most of what I talk about on the live stream. So, I guess eventually I must explain stuff half decently. I got interested in oil and gas randomly. I was going to go into chemical engineering after high school. And so I went to so no exposure to oil and gas prior to studying it, honestly. I went to UT, and there was a women in engineering like pre-summer camp thing that UT put on. And I think I hadn't been accepted yet to UT, but there was, if you were in the certain like grouping of rankings or something, you were invited to this camp. So went to this camp, and they had little sessions that we could go to, and I had to fill a time slot, and one of the time slots was the petroleum department had a one-on-one. Basically, they had a little thing you could sit in on, and the I was like, well, I have family in Houston. I don't know anything about those stacks of smoke that I pass by when we go visit them, and decided to sit in on that petroleum department like little Q&A, and it was me and one other person, and then like the main recruiter for the department, which, if you're familiar with it, was Tim Taylor. And he was very convincing. And he's like, oh, you can do all the chemical engineering stuff, plus you get to do geology and earth sciences, plus you get paid more. Because at the time, that was 2004, and oil prices were starting to come up. Yeah. So that was interesting. Decided to go ahead and switch my major. And that was that. That was oil and gas since. Okay, so continued from above. Okay, this is the non-executive mineral interest. What is happening? Oh, I found my phone. It's my phone's right there. I actually couldn't find it earlier. Sometimes the ADHD wins. Okay. So let's see. This is the continuation of the question from before: getting bonus money, getting calls from companies wanting to buy mineral rights. So continued, the question is, do we have any say at all about the amount of bonus and lease amount? Did the companies that bought some of the mineral interest now control the lease agreements? So this was a non-executive mineral interest. That was part of the first statement. And so the non-executive mineral interest part of it means that somebody else makes the executive decisions. So somebody has a say in it, but you don't. Whether or not you get part of the bonus is dependent on the specific agreement in the non-executive interest. Normally, no. Normally, you just end up getting the royalties. But I think it's about been half and half for the ones that I've seen. So no, you don't get a say about the amount of bonus and the lease amount. That is decided by the person who does have the executive mineral interest, which, if you have a mineral interest and you don't know if it's executive or non-executive, then it's executive. It's only if it's specified that it's non-executive, then that would mean that somebody else has those executive rights. And you can kind of think of it like a fiduciary, like where, or a power of attorney or something like where you own the thing, you are the person, but somebody else is making the decisions on it. Sometimes people will separate that because they want, maybe they split the mineral interest in half. And let's say that your grandpa Bob and you have two children, and one is going to live on the farm and one is not. You want them both to have interest in the minerals under the farm, but you want the one that's living there to make the decisions on who they're leasing to and who they are negotiating, like the rights for surface, access, and you know how deep they have to bury the pipelines, all those things that he wants to be in charge of, or maybe even the brothers decide this themselves, right? Like where that goes to the person that has the more vested interest in having that negotiated correctly for all people, while the other one is, like, hey, I trust you to make the right decisions. And that person does have to act in everyone's interest. So everyone's best interest. They can't just act on their own behalf because they are making that decision for you. So they have to act like a fiduciary where they're making good decisions for everybody. So you don't have a say, but theoretically, they're supposed to be making the best decisions for you. Do the companies that bought some of the mineral interest now control the lease agreements? Do the companies? So if they bought other people's mineral interest that leased to operator, so if they bought the lease from the person who it was leased to, then yes, they now control that lease. If they bought mineral interest that was leased, then whoever it was leased to still has it, and they're just subject to that the same way that you are. So it depends on which side of the coin they bought interest on that you're talking about. I'm guessing you're talking about, like, let's say you leased to Company A sold to Company B. Does Company B now control the lease, or how does that work? In most cases, yes. Some leases have it to where they have to let you know that it transferred hands. But usually it doesn't require permission to transfer hands. But they do have all the same clauses and terms that the prior person was subject to. So if you put something in your lease and now somebody else owns that lease, it's still there. They now have to follow all those rules. Fred, sorry about your dad, and we are the same way with our children. I'm an IT guy that worked in the oil and gas industry. Yeah. I mean, I think I'm becoming that way with my daughter also. Hence the Minecraft stuff, right? It's fun to do stuff with them. Like, it's probably easier to become interested in what they're doing than have them become interested in what you're doing. So I can see how this rabbit hole happens, and I'm pretty sure I'm going down it also. But family's real important to us, so probably haven't already gathered that. Then yeah, family's always been really important to us. That's why we started the company. That's why I think that's why I'm drawn to this type of work where I get to work with families directly, because it's usually families owning minerals, it's families making these decisions. Okay, gold miner, you say we're getting bonus money, but no permits on the property yet to drill. 3 years leased, then another 3-year lease that expires in early 2027. Same people. Should be agreed for a third renewal. Okay, well, that's pretty long, but not uncommon. Yeah, okay. So you do get a bonus. That's good. You do have rights to bonus. That's good. So at least it's not somebody else getting all the bonus money while they're just maybe. I've seen it happen where ridiculous terms might be negotiated, but they get it signed, and so there's a bonus, but then people never act on it because they can't uphold the terms. But at least if that does happen, you're getting the bonus money in the meantime. Yeah, I mean, you really don't have a choice in all this. You're kind of like a participant witnessing all these things now happening because somebody else is making those decisions. If you know the person making those decisions, obviously you can talk to them. Like, there's no prohibition against talking to anybody, but they ultimately make that decision. I think there is law that is, I think it's in the works. I don't remember if it was proposed or if it's just in the works to make it where people in your situation have to have access to the lease that is controlling their interest. Because theoretically, you might never ever see it, but it is still governing your lease, or it's governing how they operate and send you money. You would think anything that is controlling who's sending you money, you should have access to those rules. But right now, there's not really a great way to force someone to show that to you unless you happen to know the right people. I mean, a lot of companies do understand that situation, so they have the option to send a lease to you, but they don't have to. So I think they're trying to make it at least a law in Texas, if it's not already. I might just be really slow in my brain on what has been passed and what has not, but I think that was up for whatever they were, the latest session. Gold miner, where are your assets? Like what basin? You've probably told me before. I don't remember. I apologize. Oh yeah, I had these made for the team for our 1-year anniversary of becoming an incorporated company. And then we have OG crew. So. Dawson County. Okay. Yeah, activity's kind of stalled in Dawson for right now, huh? There was quite a bit happening with all the, what was that name of that company that was it EOG was acting under? It's been more than a minute since I've looked at it, but then they ended up falling off and not being that active, and now there's another company that is, yeah. So it's funny, EOG has been kind of behind all of it this whole time, which has been bizarre. I don't know if you followed. I mean, I'm sure this is your interest and you've paid close attention, especially if you're here on this live stream. But that whole situation in Dawson County with EOG has been bizarre to watch and follow and dig into. I think I spent hours one time just going down the path of, okay, who owns this company? Who owns this company? Who does this? Who is this person that signed this paper? Trying to figure out who was behind. Was it C? Starts with C, right? Their cover company. I want to say COG, but that's not it. It's like an acronym that starts with a C. It's normal for companies to lease under a different name. So here's the bizarre part. It's normal for companies to lease under a different name because they don't want to give away the fact that they're interested in a certain area. So that part's pretty common. A lot of people end up signing their lease with an entity that is not the operator that ultimately ends up drilling that land. That happened. Almost everyone. CMS? Bah. Now it's bugging me. CGS. I was close. Okay. So that company went out and leased the whole half the county or something. It was an enormous amount of leases that they took out, probably 3 years ago now, right? With this is, when did you say you had this leased? If you know about EOD, then it's probably that same kind of idea. So they leased half the county, and that was normal. But then they drilled under that same name and took forever to file the results of the wells. And to the point where it was a year later, the wells had been producing and there had been no production filed. And that's the weird part. It's weird when a company drills under a different name. And it wasn't until so there'd been all the rumors of like the landmen saying, "Oh yeah, no, it's the same company. Oh, they're leasing for EOG. Oh, they're drilling for EOG." But when I went, Andrew was like, "What? Who is this CGS company?" And the person who was listed as like the not the president, but like one of the like heads of the company was a um, accountant's assistant out of Tyler or something. I was like, wait a minute, and like you follow the rabbit hole all the way until it just a dead end, and you're like, this is not an actual company. Okay, yep, I see. This is something else happening. And then over the couple years, it became very obvious and apparent that it was EOG doing it. EOG likes to be smartest person in the room, and they always like they have a weird balance of like keeping things hush hush, but also like trying to be ahead of the game, but also trying to show off that they know all these things. Yeah, started in 20. So it's good that they're still renewing. I think so. This happens pretty frequently too, where an area will get exciting and people will kind of overreact and overlease and overdo an area. And a lot of times they're trying to flip the acreage, which is just like flipping houses where you get something undervalued, you hype it up a whole bunch, make it look pretty, and then you sell it. So the same thing happens in oil and gas acreage. You buy a bunch of leases, or you lease a whole bunch of acreage, drill a couple wells, make it look really awesome, like make it seem like it's the best acreage, and you're going to be able to put 16 wells per section in every single lease that you own. And suddenly you take this thing that you bought for $500 an acre and you sell it for $10,000 an acre. And that's like the flipper's dream in oil and gas. Like that's the private equity, like flipping model. So you see a lot of acreage like held by production using that same idea, where you lease way more than you can ever drill one well per section in order to hold that lease, because a lot of times that's the minimum amount needed. And then you try to find a buyer because you're like, well, I don't really want to develop all of this acreage. I want to get out. That is a lot of the small companies. That's what they're doing. A lot of the private companies are doing that when you're like never heard of them and they're drilling a well. They're just putting together a package looking to do that. It's pretty rare that you have a unknown company fully developing a section. So on one hand, if you're in an area where you haven't had any lease offers and you get a lease offer finally, but it's this no-name company, they could be drawing attention to your land, and maybe they don't end up drilling it fully, but they sell it to someone who does. Like they're the one that kind of spurs up the activity. But you do run the risk of them kind of like ruining your position by drilling a crappy well ahead of time and then no one ever coming back and fixing it. That I've seen that. It's really unfortunate when you see that and you just see this poor mineral owner that's just like, I don't know, in the center of the Midland County or one of those really highly developed counties, and they just have this like slightly slanted, really short horizontal that was barely in the target, that it's hard to drill around, and no one really wants to put full investment across it, and you can't really re-drill that because it's already been fractured. You just end up getting less overall, but it's interesting. So yeah, I mean, in a way, it's better to just continue getting the bonus money, because every time they pay you that bonus money, that's extra dollars in your pocket. If you get 3 bonuses for the same property, then they develop it, then you basically double your money on how much you would have gotten if they just leased it and drilled it. No, it's delayed, so there's the time value aspect that you wouldn't get. But I mean, in a way, it's kind of if you can hold off on needing that income immediately, as long as they're renewing that lease, and honestly, I'm not a big fan of the option periods, but I am a fan of like just straight up regular negotiation of renewals. Um, as long as they're still interested in keeping it going and paying you the new bonus money and keeping up with what bonuses should be and all that, then it's not a bad situation because then you kind of get to wait for technology to catch up to the area. Um, yeah, you get to wait for someone to come in. And like the area's been delineated. They know what they have. They know what formations are interesting. Um, they've tested different technology and different drilling arrangements. And they can, like the bigger company that can then come in and, that is when you get like the 8 to 10 permits dropping on a section, and then they're all drilled at once, and then you suddenly have this wave of income come in. So I hope that's what happens for your acreage. That is the ideal case. That you get to lease it a couple times, and then right exactly when you maximize the value is when they end up dropping all the permits on the acreage, and hopefully that happens. Yeah, let me know if you have any other questions regarding that situation. Over the holidays, I think I mentioned it before, it looks like we are still going to do the normal live stream over the holidays. I was looking at the calendar and I think everything works out fine for that. I mean, pending equipment working. I mean, hey, we're making it work right now. It'll at least work somehow. I think, okay, I've never actually used the the YouTube version of this. So even the 23rd, yeah, I think so. I think I was looking and, okay, here's what I'm thinking. I'll be working that week anyway, like not all the time, but I'll have my daughter home because they have like 18 weeks off during Christmas or something. Could be 2 or 3 instead of 18, but who knows? She has been dying to be on a live stream and just like say hi again. Because this is just the coolest thing in the world. And when she thinks about what I do for work, she thinks about this, which is funny still to me. So I'm thinking the 23rd could be the opportunity for her to come and say hi. So hopefully that, and then with it being the 23rd, it won't be that, it'll be expected for it to be a Christmas live stream and more chill. Also, if we're doing our 12 days of Christmas, that's probably where we'll drop was that day 10? Yeah, that'll be day 10, I think, of Christmas, of the 12 days of Christmas. So stay tuned to see what we're doing. And luckily we have, what's that, 5 more days before that starts, so we can finalize all of our plans. We have plans. I'm just like finalizing what can actually get done in the next 5 days. What can I do on this special edition? I'm seeing what's all available here. So I can share screen. I don't know what I would share right now because I'm just on my laptop that doesn't have anything open. I did have let's see, it's 12:58. We'll wrap up with a quiz because I had ChatGPT come up with a quiz based on certain things, and I like some of the questions. So we'll do some true or false questions to wrap up this live stream. I don't actually know if I can. Oh, I can do a poll. Mary says, would love to see your daughter. She would become a celebrity. I mean, she already is wherever she goes, but yeah, she is a personality. She is like the girliest girly girl I know, which is funny from my end, right? But I don't know. It's just funny. Okay, so first question, I'm gonna make a poll as be true or false. That way it's easier for me to type it out. So first question to wrap up today's live stream. So oil and gas are considered real property. True, false. Also, I don't know, can people on the TV, like watching YouTube, like, there. First question, live. Oil and gas interests are considered real property. True or false? Just as a quick reminder, real property is the same thing as like your house is real property. What's it? Car? No. Real estate. In real estate, it's the real part of that. I think if I go like this, it makes like emojis happen. Maybe not. All right, we have some answers. So the first question, it is true. Oil and gas interests are considered real property in almost every state I can think of. It is a state-specific thing, but yes, it is real property. So make sure whenever you're doing like your will or your estates or anything, if you're handling a house or somewhere where you live, also handle your oil and gas interests the same way. It needs to go through the same chain that other types of real property go through. So make sure to do that. Okay. Next question. Okay, next question. Hey, I have to just like type it or else I'm not ever going to type it. Okay. Question 2. Royalty owners usually pay operating expenses. True or false? So with the definition of operating expenses being if there is weeds growing around the pumping unit and they need to send a weed control specialist out there to spray those weeds, do you as an oil and gas royalty owner have to pay your share of the weed cost or your share of the cost of the motor if it breaks and you have to pay to replace it? I just realized that this whole time my computer's not been plugged in. So I also got lucky that we didn't die. I mean, we're always lucky about that, right? All of us alive here are lucky we have not died. Maybe. I mean, I think we're lucky. I am happy you're here. So I'm lucky you haven't died. How about that? Okay, royalty owners usually pay operating expenses. True or false? Answer is false. So congratulations to the 5 people so far that have gotten that one correct. Yeah, so royalty owners typically do not have to pay anything for operating expenses. You might see some expenses on your statement, like your revenue statement. That's typically not considered operating expenses. It's usually post-production costs, they call it. So it's not production expenses, it's the things after it produced, like to get it producing. So it'd be things like the cost to drive the oil from the wellhead to the place where people are buying it. Sometimes people have, like royalty owners have to pay that fee because that's considered like improving the oil from where it originally was. But that's dependent on your lease. Some people don't have to. And then I feel like 3 is a good round number. We'll do 3 round questions. So I flunked. Do I get kicked out of class or sent to remediate? No, you just have to come back every week to learn more. Well, technically, I don't know who flunked. So then nobody flunked. Also, if I was a harsh judge, so today would be a bad day for me to be a harsh judge. I would flunk also. Okay, we're going to end with a hard one. Yeah, no, I can't see your answers. So I didn't know until you fessed up. Okay, last question. Last question. Yeah, unfortunately, I can't see when you get it right either. So, you know. Oh, wait, I have to stop this poll first. End poll. Say final was 6 votes, which majority of the class passed. So everybody gets a passing grade on that one because everybody, the rest of the class pulled you along. Okay, final one. Start a poll. All right. Again, I have to type and not talk. Again, this is just true or false. Next, last question. A pew clause can release depths or acreage from a lease. A pew clause, not a poo clause, which I did first think that was what my landman was saying when I first heard it. I was like, I'm sorry, what? A what clause? Because she's like, oh, I don't know if that acreage pooed out. Like she said it with it wasn't an accent. It was just like a Southern thing, where we just kind of like roll our words together. And I was like, spell that for me. Spell that one for me. Yeah, pew. So like pew pew. Pew clause can release depths or acreage from a lease. True or false? And I think y'all can even see how people are voting. And that'd be a good hint as to how to vote if you want to pull through on this last one. So a lot of the older leases don't have a pew clause, I will say. So a lot of times this thing that does or does not happen doesn't happen for older leases. But for a lot of the newer ones, people have gotten smarter and have included it. You're not sure on this one. I need a what? Everybody needs a good pew. Gotta make sure to have that clause for good pews. Yeah, so all the class passed on this one. So a pew clause does in fact release depths or acreage from a lease. So the pew clause, what it does is it's a term that says if, everything's related to Santa Claus, right? Side note, there is this one legal company, like a law firm, that has a YouTube channel, and they do shorts, and they have a whole series on where they take pop culture things and debate if it was legally correct or incorrect. And you know that little card in the Santa Claus, which was like the Santa Claus, they debated if that was an accurate legal, like a binding legal document or not. And that's all I can think of when I think of that. But no, so yeah, the Pew Clause is what it's called when there's that line in your lease that says 100 feet below producing or 100 feet above is no longer leased at the end of the primary term if it hasn't been drilled. That is so how that looks is a lot of times you'll have an old well. What's an example? We'll just use the one for the example of what I was questioning my amendment on originally. Let's say that there's a North Texas reservoir or North Texas field, and it's all developed to a certain depth. And there's just these vertical wells, like producing hardly anything. And let's say that the name of the formation is the Tonkawa. And the Tonkawa sits above what's currently interesting in the area. And if that lease has a Pew clause that says that the depths below and or above the producing zones are released if they're not also producing, then they would have to come back and like give more bonus money in order to drill and produce anything below it. So a lot of like people in West Texas, the Midland Basin, for example, there's a lot of random little formations, not even little. There's a lot of random formations where you'll have an old well producing, maybe it's producing out of the Clear Fork, or maybe it's producing out of the Devonian, or like, so it's either really deep or really shallow. It all depends on if that original lease had a Pew clause or not, as to whether or not these companies have to come in and pay big bucks to release that acreage to drill the current like hot plays, the Wolf Camp and Sprayberry, and so like people hold on to it with dear life if they have an old lease with no Pew clause. It's only 12.5% royalty, and this little dinky well in the corner of the section is holding the whole thing. So that ends up becoming like the gold that you can, as an operator, you'd want to hold on to. It's terrible for the royalty owner. Hopefully everybody watching this, if you negotiate stuff, we want Pew clauses on all directions, like above it, below it, acreage, left, right, all the things. So let's see. 1 out of 3, Mary. Good. I mean, that's good. 2 Margaret. I mean, that's not a bad punishment, honestly. I might take that one after today's technology. Wish me luck. Hopefully my computer is humming and not about to explode this time next week. Again, we have Mom, you got all of them right. Good job. I'm proud of you. That's why. So Alice got one of these also for being one of our OG crews. Next week, same time, same place, we are doing a live stream. It will be immediately following a live demo, possibly just a premiere demo, but it'll be a demo of our portfolio product, which is our software online, our app, thing that you can go to right now. If you go to pecanestimate.com, you can check it out for free. And then we have lots of things available on there that are also free. And then graduated tiers, whatever makes sense for you and your portfolio, we can make sense. So go ahead and check it out. There will be the demo next week. And then we will be kicking off our 12 days of Christmas. So make sure to tune back in, make sure to like and subscribe so you can see all the times I go live accidentally and on purpose, and then no one can hear me. And it's just a hoot. Have a good time with us, you know? So I will see y'all next week. And I hope y'all have a wonderful week. So, all right. I don't have my outro. So just imagine like casual piano playing and then like, a cute little graphic popping up and all the things. But I'll see y'all next week and have a great week. And the poll. Bye, y'all. I forfeit. Yeah, I guess I do. All right. Thanks, Barry. Thanks, Fred. Thanks, Alice. Thanks, Martha. I saw you on here earlier. Thanks, Gold Miner. Thanks, Edwin. I saw you earlier. All right. Bye.